Hello, everyone. So I was talking to one of my good friends last week, and she was saying, I keep seeing all over the place about like using a makeup sponge or a beauty blender or a blending bud or whatever you want to call it. And she said, I have them, but I don't really understand the reason why or maybe how. And it's true because it seems like, you get these sponges and you're like, okay, it's a sponge. I put it on my skin, right? But there really is some technique to how and why. So I thought I'd share it with you guys today. And I have my two buds here. Now, you guys know I love my brush and I use my brushes all the time. And so I don't pull these out as much as I should, but I will be honest and say part of the reason why I can use my brushes and not worry about it is because I don't pay for my makeup anymore. These are really great in making sure that you're not wasting any product and still getting the flawless look that a brush will create. So really sometimes a blending sponge, especially if you're trying to get the most out of make your makeup last a little longer, a blending sponge will be work really well. So let's start out and talk about mine are old, you guys. I use them all the time, and I will say you'll hear me saying this that you should totally clean them, and I do, but I'm lazy about it, so they're kind of stained. I apologize. Be better than I am. So the first thing that you do with a blending bud is you have to get it wet, and the reason for that is because when it soaks up water, then your makeup cannot go into the sponge. So what I started out by doing is I went in, took these in the bathroom, and I put these underwater, and I sat them underwater for a minute, and then I would squeeze them together real hard under the water and open them slowly so that they absorb every bit of the water. They both got bigger when I was doing that. I did that a couple times, squeeze and release to absorb the water, and then I squeeze it out a little bit, and then I put it in my towel, and I'll give it one more squeeze. That's what I'm doing now, right? And then because you want water in it, but you don't want them to be like dripping. And then if you're still worried about it, use like a paper towel or a tissue. But as you can see on my tissue, very little water came off by this point, but it is enough that it's still going to keep my makeup from soaking into this, okay? So next thing about a beauty blender. You've got different sizes. They even sometimes come in different shapes. You can grab them from almost anywhere now. There's one with something in it. And you can use them on any kind of product. So I'm going to show you a few different products and the ways to properly use them. So for something like a spray, this also would work for a powder, and I'll show you that at the end. I'm going to spray directly on, for the big parts, directly on the biggest part of the blending sponge. And you can see my product go right on there. Then I'm going to bounce it. So you never want to run a sponge across your face. If you do that, you are encouraging your water out and your product not to go in it. So you want to make sure, or your product to go into the sponge. So you want to make sure you're just bouncing it. Little tiny bounces, and it's going to give you different amounts of coverage depending on what kind of product you're using. So I like these because they do give me good coverage, but they don't do complete full coverage unless I do it a little heavier. So when I want to do like today, like a more natural look where it's going to not look like I'm wearing any makeup, but still cover all my redness, this is a great way to do it. Okay. So this is the, bare minimum, simplest way you can use a makeup sponge. Put your product directly on there, on the big part, and bounce it on your face. Never pull it across, okay? And if you have areas where you want to blend more, just kind of twist it. But once again, you're just kind of twisting it as you blend, right? Now, you have this little point area. Why is that? Well, I like to use my concealer, which I already put back, for that. But I always put it on a little surface first, okay? Putting a concealer directly on here, you might end up getting too much. So I'm just like to put it on something. I'm using a little card here. And then once again, you're just bouncing it across the area. So for under my eye, I'm never gonna pull. I'm just gonna bounce it in and let it blend itself. And I'm using that little tiny area so I can just get right up to the eye line, right? And that's why you have that little area there. Once again, you never want to pull. You just want to kind of bounce it through there to get your color incorporated properly. See what I'm doing there? So let's go ahead and use some of these other ones. I'm going to finish off with the big areas with this. And as you can see, it gives you a really nice finish that looks almost like you're not wearing any makeup. Now you can see I have my little, we're going to call them beauty marks. I have my little beauty marks here. And when I went over it the first time, it gives it a real natural look, not super overdone. Now, if I want to cover it completely, I can. See that? I can cover it all the way up. But if you want to leave it a little more natural looking, you can do that too, like I just did to that one. So a beauty blender really gives you the opportunity to blend out your product and decide how much you want to use. I am doing the smallest little spritz of my spray on this, you guys, because you don't need much. The littlest tiny bit of spritz is going to cover really nicely, and then I can go back and put another tiny spritz on when I get to another area. So that's going to be super helpful. I'm going to show you guys some more stuff. Just a second. Let me finish up my face here. Even the blender is still okay when you get up towards your hairline. Make sure you blend right into that hairline so that you don't have that ring around your face. Nobody wants that, right? That is not attractive. So let's just check out my face here. Now this, we've talked about in other videos, right now, my foundation color is actually a little light for the rest of my body because I got so much sun on vacation, which, you know, I'm not complaining about. We didn't, for those of you wondering, we never left the house. We had no interaction with anybody short of people dropping bags of food off on our front porch because we had the beach right there and a private pool. So we never left the house. So I got a little sun. So now that my foundation's a little darker, I have to put something like a darker powder over it. You can use a powder with a blending bud too. Now, once again, and I'm going to check mine, I want to make sure that it still has enough water in it before I put more product in it. If it doesn't, my product is going to go into the sponge and it's going to be harder to clean. This is why I have some stains from before I figured this out. But as long as my product is still full, or my sponge is still full of water, that product is going to stay right on the top and there's nowhere else for it to go. Unlike with my brushes, which I love because the product can go into the bristles. Okay, so I'm using this darker powder and we're just going to do the same kind of thing with the powder. You can dip directly in. You're just bouncing just like you are in the face, just a bouncing motion, never a wipe, just a bouncing motion. And I can go over this. And it's really super fast, you guys, and it still gives you that flawless kind of airbrush finish, which is what we want, right? We want that no makeup look when we're wearing our makeup, which is awesome. All right, let's see here. I'm getting in there, getting through that. And I'm going to pull out that smaller one that I had in the beginning in just a second so I can show you guys some other little things here. There we go. All right. My face is back to the color it should be. Now, normally, I usually use a bronzer of some sort. I'm going to take this. Look at the perfect shape on this. If you go in from the outside corner and up with your bronzer, you can totally make this your applicator for all of your makeup because I can perfectly get in under the cheekbones right there and create a nice lower cheekbone and then blend it out with my bigger side. See how that works? It's super fun. So this is a really nice, like if you're traveling or something, you don't want to take a whole brush set, grab just your blending bud. And that'll totally work. All right, so I have my smaller one here too. What do I use that for? Well, I love to use it for eyeshadows. If I have a cream eyeshadow like I'm using right now, I can pat that on here and it's gonna do the same thing. Keep me from using too much product, but still give me that nice full finish that I want. You can see how the first one I'm using is just a cream, so it's going right on here, evening out my whole eye line. But then I can also use it when I get into my actual eyeshadow too. So just for the sake of argument, I'm gonna grab this palette. So I'm going to start out and I'm going to take one of my ends here and I'm going to put my color on my lid. So I'm taking a really nice shimmery light color and I'm putting it directly on the lid with this little end. I can get right up to that crease point and not have to worry about going over at all. It's gonna give me a nice shimmery silver. Then I want to do in my, in the crease, like almost like a transition color. So I'm going to go in with this end right here, this part of the ball. See where I put that? Just a little bit right on there. And I'm going to go right through on the crease. This is really nice because of the shape. It kind of gets right into the crease, but does a little bit on top and bottom, which makes putting on your transition color super, super simple. You're just kind of going through the crease area, and it's going to get a little above and a little below, just like I usually tell people to do, right? Then for the smoky part, I'm going to go in with a darker gray. There it is. Not too much. And I'm just going to pat this in a C on the outside corner of my eye. Just using that little ball part right there. And see how I get that smoky eyed look coming out? It's super, super simple. So my smaller blending bud, you probably want to have for things like the eyes. Your blush sometimes if you want to. Let's see, is there a part of this I can use for this? Let's check. Went a little dark over there. Where is my blush? Here it is. I'm going to use the other ball of this for my blush color. So the blush color is going to be nice because it's going to go right on the ball of your cheek, and then you can pull it up and you can really control where it's going even better than you would with a brush. So I have basically only used a blending bud here, but I'm getting my full makeup look out of a blending bud. It is that versatile, which is super important. Now, I want to blend that out a little bit. Like I said, then you can kind of blend out with the end piece, which is really fun. Now, once you have your makeup to where you want it to be, make sure you clean them. You want to use a natural or a soft soap on them to clean them. You don't absolutely have to have a special cleaner, but you can buy special cleaners for them. You're going to put the soap on anywhere you used it. So I'm going to do a little dot here, 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 here. And I'm going to go in and really work that soap through it with water running through it the whole time. That's going to clean my blending bud, okay? So I still have to do my lips and my lashes and my brows. But all of my powders and cream products and even my sprays went on perfectly with using a different side or a different part of an already wet blending bud. See how simple that is? So if you have any other questions, let me know. If you ever have any questions about a way to apply or a certain applicator, let me know. I love to help out with those kind of questions. I know my friend will be happy to know how to use her blending bud now. And it really is a product that even if you're not super into makeup, it might be something that can make the whole process go a little faster for you. And you're going to get a more flawless finish, which is always nice. Right, guys? All right, everybody. Thanks for joining me. I hope you have a great day. Bye-bye.